Hey BG Squad, on this week's Your Voice, we wanted to talk with people caught at a crossroad. So many small business owners have reached out to us saying they're at risk of losing their livelihoods because they haven't been able to access COVID-19 emergency relief funding. So now, it's time to find out why that is. Jordan, tell me about your restaurant and how did this all come to fruition?
I've always liked Queen Street, and I find Queen West was one of the most iconic streets downtown.
So what are you seeing right now on Queen Street? Are businesses closing?
So I also work with the Queen West BIA, and I've been doing bi-monthly vacancy counts. And at the start of the pandemic, we were sitting just under 30. And when I did my count last week, we were just under 80. So we're sitting at approximately a 33 to 35% vacancy rate.
So we got this place end of November and signed the lease, a 10-year lease. Planning to open on April.
April of 2020?
April of 2020, as when we got the lease, this was a whole different restaurant. It was Harlem Underground. The bar was over here, and we gutted the whole entire thing. And then when we found out about COVID, we kind of put everything on halt. It's tough because I have a landlord that's asking for rent, and it's nothing on him, it's his business as well. But it's tough to pay this kind of a space to only sell takeout food or coffee.
It's a trickle-down effect. So, your payment processing vendor still needs to be paid. Your alcohol account still needs to be paid. You still have to pay what's called TMI, taxes, maintenance, insurance. Those are fixed costs that don't change. Whether you're open, closed, those still have to be covered.
During this pandemic, the government did put out a lot of support for individuals and for small businesses to try to keep as many people afloat as possible. Were you able to access some of those resources, some of those funds?
So they did do a lot of stuff for small business, but unfortunately we fall in the category of 2020 new businesses.
What does that mean?
Basically, when you go to the website and try to get that CBA loan, that 40K or now a 60K rent subsidy, wage subsidy, you have to put in your 2019 financials. So because we opened in 2020, there's no 2019 financials, hence we're not eligible.
The other thing that I'm hearing is that this Ontario support grant that's $10,000 to $20,000, not many people so far have received the full $20,000.
Knowing that right now you can't access that emergency support for small businesses that the government has out there, what's your biggest fear at this point?
My biggest fear is they're going to change the locks on the doors, and I'm just going to lose the business.
We're going to not see and recognize our favorite neighborhood streets. It's going to be filled with who knows what.
Do you have a family?
I have a girlfriend and she has kids, so trying to support that as well. But I'm hardly home because I'm always here too. It's a tough thing to do.
What should the government do to ensure that those businesses don't die off?
There's a couple of things that the government can do. They really need to reiterate and enforce a commercial eviction moratorium. They also need to make sure that the money flows faster into the bank accounts of small businesses, and just make sure that there are supports and make it easily accessible for new businesses, old businesses, have support hotlines so that people understand what they're applying for and can ask questions along the way.
They're presenting something in the House of Commons next month, they said, but that's still next month. They could close my doors tomorrow.
If you could tell either Premier Doug Ford or Prime Minister Justin Trudeau one thing, what would that be?
Let's work together, let's make things accessible, easy, and fair. Let's make things fair for all levels of business, no matter how old, how young they are, what industry they're in. Let's make everything really fair.
It's the faster response that we can get ahead of this so that together we can recover as a city, as a community in better times.
Jordan, I wish you the best.
Thank you.
And if this impacts you or anyone else caught at a similar crossroad, reach out to us because we're reaching out to the government to get you answers.